The next one is fixing the power of attorney bill. Following the judicial review, it seems to be a hot potato that nobody wants to touch. So I've decided to take this and see what I can do with the power of attorney bill. I believe that it should be quite a straightforward matter. The judicial review seemed rather short, so I don't think it would be too difficult. However, we'll look at the bill in its state when it was submitted, do a quick review, and then afterwards see with various stakeholders, be they with the San Andreas Medical Services, the judiciary, among the general public as well, of course, just because we want to make sure that we have as much as we can on that. I had an idea about that I stated in the debates concerning the Constitutional Reform Act. This mostly is going to be amending an instance where the legislature is tied, and then afterwards, more than likely, the Lieutenant Governor would be able to step in and cast the deciding vote on anything where there is a split decision, just so that way we do not get hampered down or bogged down in the details. And finally, there's some, of course, after the tragic fire at the library, I'll be revisiting some educational bills so that we can see what we can do about trying to be able to ensure access to education and remove some of the barriers which may have been present due to some members of the Board of Education no longer being present in the state. Those are the main ones from me. I'll take questions from my fellow representatives first, and then afterwards move to the public, I assume.
Could you go more into the power of attorney bill? What is it you want to change?
Well, mostly bring it into compliance with the judicial review. The court struck it down because of some uncertainty in that bill. Thankfully, Chief Justice Rajesh Gupta was one of the people who on that judicial review who did write a part of an opinion. So, of course, we'll be able to get that to be able to look through it. However, of course, we are in the stage at the moment of doing a review on the document. Main concerns that I have are mostly stemming around categorization. So one that I stated in private yesterday were the fact that at the moment it seems as though there's no clear boundary between whether somebody can make decisions while the donor or conservator, I should say, in the US, that they can make decisions off of the back when they still have capacity, or whether such decisions must be, they cannot make decisions until a determination is made as to the person has lost capacity. It's all one of these things, really. We want to ensure it's flexible, but ensures adequate protection for people who are entering into lasting a power of attorney, because, of course, they are extremely powerful tools and very, very susceptible to abuse.
Gotcha. All right, sounds good. I haven't been able to read the CRA Act or CRA you just released.
The most recent proposal, yeah.
Yeah, this would be HR 365.
Yes.
So I don't have any current questions regarding that one right now. I know we discussed it last week. But I would have to read the bill more thoroughly before I have any questions. So I would wait until next meeting to raise those questions, probably, or to you in private.
No, I'm more than happy to do so in public, really. It's one of these things where I think public disclosure allows for something to be more legitimate. It allows me to be able to defend the bill ardently if I need to. And, it allows everyone to be able to see clearly, sort of like where my mind is in proposing this bill, and also allows me to speak with the public on it. But
Fair enough.
Thank you very much.
I see. So Section 5, civil claim restrictions. The punitive damages are capped at $50,000. No more than one civil action can be undertaken per incident, event, harm, or wrongful act. Punitive damages do stack with oh my gosh, I cannot speak. Compensatory claims there. Yeah, sorry. So 50,000. Where did you kind of get that number?
That's from the original Clam Act.
Gotcha. Okay.
I didn't want to really mess with that because presently the existing provisions work quite well. I think when sort of amending, similar to yourself, when amending these sort of bills, you've got to be very, very careful because, of course, people have gotten used to it and people like it. I don't really want to mess around with the punitive nature of it, especially punitive damages, because it doesn't affect restitutionary damages or any other kind of damage that somebody can claim. It just puts a cap on punitive measures.
Gotcha. Okay. That was the main question that I currently have at the moment. I don't have complete reading of the bill here. I did have a bit of a reading of it, but I do not have complete understanding questions on everything at the moment. But that is something that I was looking at.
That's fine. I'm more than happy to take questions at our next meeting this coming Sunday. So if anything comes up, please let me know. But yeah. If there's no other questions from my fellow representative, I can see Ernst.
I have
No.
one. I do have one.
You've got one. Okie dokie.
Yeah. So right at the end, you mentioned help for education. You're going to help. Obviously, the Paul Library burning down. What are you trying to do? What are you aiming for with the education?
So at the moment, the Board of Education, to my understanding, has 0 members. At the moment, if you want to provide education in this state, you would have to go through a process, file an application upon which a response will not be given. I want to try and see if we can do away with some of those restrictions so that people can more or less just advertise their services as an educator, and then afterwards they're able to take it from there. My main goal here is to sort of like cut some of the red tape, really. As much as I'm a big fan of it through my occupation, I think it's one of these things that I don't really want to risk. Sort of allowing something that it doesn't appear anyone wants to touch to continue, and it restricts people's ability.
No, it is being touched. I spoke to the executive about it. At least I want to say a month ago about the Board of Education. And I think what was brought to me is that I think the whole organization is looking to disband altogether and dissolve. So I think that'll be a discussion that, again, you'd have to have the executive, because I believe it was created by an executive order.
Yes, well, this is
so
something
you
that
have to speak to them and just make sure that we can.
Yes, indeed. This is something that was brought to me. My main plan here is to replace it with something and not leave it in the dust. What I don't want to do basically is repeal everything, scrap it all, and call it a day. There's a lot of bills here that have that are basically interwoven. For example, human remains. There are provisions for the use of those in education circumstances. I want to assure that those protections are still there without going in with a sledgehammer, taking an approach with a scalpel, no pun intended, but more or less go in there and see what we can do to be able to ensure that education is still provided, but without the administrative requirement that came with the Board of Education.
So how would you decide who would be able to teach then? Would you introduce some kind of license as a educator, or how would you go about that?
No, it would be the removal of many of the barriers. However, there would be introduction of new barriers. So let's say, for example, if you are you're interested in sort of human anatomy and you want to deal with human remains, you would need sufficient qualifications in order to be able to make such a decision. I don't believe the creation of a regulatory body is necessary, because, of course, this would be something that would, of course, require a department to be able to deal with that. However, at the moment, I'm currently in discussions with the executive as to where this would come under, because, of course, we want to ensure that the standards are maintained and that basically we don't have somebody running around and being able to get human remains because they put a quick submission on. The main goal here is to ensure
that's my worry as well, because someone has to decide who's going to be seen as qualified to teach or be an educator, and I'm just wondering who that fall to.
I wouldn't really say it's necessary to see who is whether somebody is required to be able to has the abilities to be able to teach at all. I think that people have different levels of skill in different things, and I think that realistically, the way the Board of Education has operated, which was you had to submit a lesson plan, you had to teach it, and now but there was loads and loads of sort of red tape there, where there's no department to be able to do it. And from what I can hear,
Yeah,
nobody wants to take it. It seems to be the case that what we need to do is facilitate, open up, and then afterwards see how we do. At the end of the day, as much as it is experimental, that might be the best course of action to take it from.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. The Board of Education is currently vacant and inoperable, non-functional, and but I'm asking just to be sure that not anyone off the street can, as you said, human remains, if they don't have any education themselves within the within that topic. Who would decide that they, I'm asking the questions because we kind of need to know where that responsibility lies.
Indeed.
It's something we need to take into consideration for the future and when you're drafting the bill.
Yeah, absolutely. So the main thing at the moment is finding who wants to hold this hot potato. Of course, my first step with things like this would be the San Andreas Medical Services. Not that they decide who does it, but more or less that the person is suitably qualified and they're put forward. So let's say, for example, that a qualified doctor wanted to teach a class to the general public on it. I see no objections to that because the doctor most certainly does have suitable qualifications by virtue of their profession. Similarly for law, you could see that somebody who has a SABA card would most certainly be suitably qualified to be able to teach some areas of law. Let's say we go with a departmental head. You could have somebody who is let's say the Department of Justice could assist with teaching areas of law. The San Andreas Fire and Rescue Service could teach classes on first aid because they are suitably qualified. I think really it's a question of sort of assessing whether there needs to be certain protections in order and to what extent that needs to be valued. The issue is, again, I don't have an answer as to what department would be responsible. I've said this several times. I can't put anyone on it because nobody wants to hold this potato. That's a lot of, could be a lot of work or could be as easy as switch of a pen. Nobody wants to go straight in and take it.
If we can cut a lot of the red tape away, it would make it easier to spread education among the public, for sure. So I'm excited to see how this bill progresses.
We can definitely, you're working on seeing who, like you said, wants to take the hot potato. Nothing is set in stone at this moment. So, we have plenty of time to have conversations with departments and everything like that. So I appreciate that you're taking that step there.
Of course. Wouldn't pass the executive approval otherwise.
And I also do want to address, I know there are some questions out there. I'm just going around the table at the moment. After we are done going around the table to the representatives, then I'm going to be opening up to the questions to the public. So please keep those questions till after the round table. I do apologize for that. I know your hand has been up there for a while. I do apologize, and we will get to your question as soon as we're done going around the table with the representatives. So I apologize. Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about, Rep Hill?
I think I've yapped long enough. I think everyone deserves a break from me.
Okay, then we'll just go over to my right, Damien.
Hello, everybody. I'm currently only working on one bill right now, and that is if I can get up on my phone again. It's to place caps on fines. I've submitted this to the Criminal Code Committee. There'll be caps on fines in regards to two charges. Class 1 drug possession with intent to distribute and Class 1 drug distribution. Caps will be set at 20,000 and 30,000 respectively. That is all I'm working on. Again, I'm waiting for the Criminal Code Committee to get back to me on that.
Okay,
Uh,
so you're trying to change some information on Class 1 drugs, you said?
No, 2 specific charges. There is going to be that's going to have a fine cap.
Gotcha. Okay.
would you mind repeating those 2 charges? I'm taking
Yeah,
notes.
class 1 drug possession with intent to distribute, and class 1 drug distribution. They'll be set at 20,000 and 30,000 respectively. So I'm just waiting on a response from the Criminal Code Committee to get back to me with that, and then I will move forward.
Okay.
So this is going to be similar to the felony possession of counterfeit or marked bills, in that it caps out at a certain point.
Yeah, I guess it would be
Yeah.
similar. Yeah,
Okay, I understand.
Gotcha. Okay.
and the
I
murder
don't have
charges,
any.
I guess, as well.
I don't have any questions because it sounds like you're kind of waiting on responses. So I don't have any questions at this moment for that personally.
What that I'd have is basically just what is it the Criminal Code Review Committee are currently deliberating on? What's the
No
main
idea.
hold up here? No.
No idea. I passed it off to the executive. I guess I'll have to chase it up with them, but I passed it off to them and said, "Hey, can you just show this to the Criminal Code Committee, please, and tell me what it is?" They might not even gotten to it. They might be busy with a lot of different stuff because I believe the last government there wasn't. It was in a bit of turmoil, and they worked hard to try and get it going, but it seemed like the Criminal Code Committee last term almost died on the vine. So obviously they probably got a lot of stuff to get through, which is fine. I would just have to chase up myself. So
Okay.
I have no other comments.
Same here.
I'm good.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Then we'll pass it over to Rep Barber.
Hello. As we talked about last meeting, I have focused mainly on the State Your Reason Act that I'm drafting. It is a bill designed to protect people from self-incrimination and through better communication, make a safer work environment for both peace officers and also make it safer for the general public during traffic stops. I've had meetings with the troopers and LSPD this last 2 weeks, and they voiced some concerns regarding officer safety, and we are looking into that.
I just spoke to Seraphine. She was like,
Uh,
Board of Education was never functional.
I mainly want to say that this is a shift in philosophy when it comes to how to do a job than anything else. The bill would require a peace officer to state the reason for the stop before they can ask any other questions. Currently, they can go and ask you if you get pulled over. What is the reason for the stop? Do you know why I pulled you over? And if you answer that, you are basically just admitting guilt on the spot. It is it can be seen as a way of entrapment, but we're working on it, and it is a bill in progress.
It needs to stop being in progress.
Any questions from my fellow representatives?
Yes. So one thing that I brought as a concern was that of operational effectiveness and safety for officers. My main concern here, and you did mention in our past meeting, is that if you don't state the reason, then they are, a person is able to, basically make a negative inference. Basically, if they don't say the reason for the stop, assume it's a big deal, which is, a huge problem for officer safety, really, and that if they're stopping somebody because there's a ping comes up when they drive past and they're involved in an officer involved shooting, well, in those instances, there's a degree of sort of a police officer can use their skills and expertise in order to be able to navigate this a bit safer, without particularly alerting the person to the fact that they'll be stopping them for that, or sort of they will the fact that basically they won't know they're stopping them for that. And if they don't state the reason, it's law that they have to. They can basically assume this is going to be a big deal. So that's one of my main concerns. I have another one, but I'll allow you to respond.
All right. The fact that people can infer meaning into non-action, that is present in all sides of the law and every interaction that people have with law enforcement. The argument that it makes the work environment for the peace officers more unsafe, I'm not sure I agree with. I trust the peace officers to have operational. Oh my God! Well, that's a family of 5. Operational security, is that a word I'm looking for? No, but know how to deal with a situation without it escalating. Yes, people can infer meaning, but I don't see it as a huge problem.
I think I personally think that would be my main concern really with that one. We'll move on to my other point in relation to incrimination. This is enshrined in the Constitution that you have the right to not incriminate yourself. One, of course, exception of this is spontaneous utterance. The main issue here is that where an officer says, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" that is basically asking, "Do you know the criminal act upon which you performed, which would give me cause to stop you?" That is protected speech under Miranda against Arizona and would not be admissible in a court of law.
I know. And Miranda comes into play. Excuse me. Would you mind keeping your voice down over there, please? Thank you. My train of thought derailed. Repeat your question, please.
Yes. So basically, you mentioned that somebody could self-incriminate themselves by asking, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" But
yes.
That is not admissible in a court of law.
No, it would not be. But we have to look at the extremes when it comes to drafting laws and bills. And the extreme would be, one of the extremes would be a peace officer fishing for information to get probable cause so that they can search your vehicle. And that could be say you mentioned spontaneous utterings. Yes, if your spontaneous uttering is of such a topic, or it could allow for probable cause for searches, and that's also something that you would be protected against if this bill goes through.
I don't think you would. I think that realistically, if you're going to do a spontaneous utterance, even if you do state something bizarre when they ask, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" that's more than likely going to happen anyway. I think, to be honest, a degree of personal responsibility is required here. We can't really wrap everyone in bubble wrap and then afterwards diminish law enforcement officer capabilities in circumstances such as these. My understanding as well is that this law was one that was passed in the state of California in response to what was primarily racial discrimination. And to my understanding, this is something that does not happen in the state of San Andreas. So what is the main reasoning behind this bill? Because I can't really see directly what what's brought this about. Because most people that I know,
yeah,
as a
the
legal
main reasoning
practitioner,
behind the bill is protection against self-incrimination. That in turn can lead into, as I said, police fishing for reasons to search your vehicle and your person. And just because of a law got written on the basis of racial discrimination in California doesn't mean that that law doesn't apply, would work perfectly well in this state for other reasons. So I don't see that argument at all.
So what are those reasons?
The reasons for the bill?
Yeah, you said that basically if the premise was for racial discrimination for California, what would be the reasons for the state of San Andreas?
To protect the public against self-incrimination.
Right. Well, in my experience as an attorney, I've rarely heard many people really respond to the question of, do you know why I pulled you over, with anything more than either, I don't know, officer, or sometimes I went a bit quick. I don't see how they'd be able to infer any kind of probable cause from that.
Well, in my experience as a state legislator, I have talked to many people around the state, and the general consensus around in the general public is that they would like to have this be a thing. Yes, I do see the challenges that the peace officers and law enforcement have brought to the table, and I'm taking that into consideration. But I really do not think it would be as detrimental to police efficiency or, how to conduct their work as you put forward.
Well, we can ask them, man. They all seem to be.
I was about to say, I'm sure on the public point we'll certainly get some more. I won't hold any more time. Thank you very much.
Was there anything else you would like to bring up, Rep. Barber?
No, that is the current thing that I am focused on, or been focused on this week.
Yeah, my main concern was officer safety. That was addressed in some of the questioning by Rep. Hill. Now, I will say Rep. LeBlanc was not able to attend today. He is under the weather. I will say he is working on the commercial vehicle modifier. I don't have much information on that at this time. I do know what he is working on, but I do not want to speak for Representative LeBlanc on that. We do have a vote at the end of the public addressing their questions. So we will be voting on the state public defender after all the questions have been heard. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor to questions. Like I said before, please let everybody that is stating their question finish their question before any responses. I know your hand has been up for a while. So the individual with their hand up with the blonde hair to my right, if they would like to state.
Former friend and colleague Ernst Schneider.
Hello. Assistant State Public Defender Ernst Schneider here. How you doing today, everyone? I have a few questions. One of them I'll just ask afterwards because it feels a bit privately. I am gonna go through as the reps were talking. So in regards to Representative Valentino, I have one question and my colleague next to me has the other one. I was wondering why the Public Defender's Office is not on the list of organizations that are available. It is a bit confusing to us why you can report whistleblower activity or report corruption to the Public Works, but apparently not to, an organization that specializes in law and protecting the, rights of the people.
So that is something I was working on with Assistant Yuri Devlin. I've been working on which departments should be added onto there. Let me reach back in my notes on what we kind of discussed there real quick. Give me one sec. So, as far as not adding PDO, based on my discussion with former Rep Devlin, from what his understanding is the investigative power as to why we did not add PDO onto that list. If you would like, we could definitely talk on adding y'all to that list. But as far as the conversation with former Rep Devlin, we did not add you to the list, and that was the reason why. I do apologize that you were not added on there, and I would love to speak with you after the meeting here as to adding you onto the list and seeing if we could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great.
Awesome.
'Cause, I don't, honestly, personally, I don't see us having less investigative power than Public Works or SAFA, the Flight Authority. So, second question. One moment. To Representative Hill. Hello.
Oh dear, you've had your chance to cross-examine me at last, Mr. Schneider.
Yeah, finally at last. There's no judge around to overrule me or anything like that. So in your civil matter, I had a bit of time to scan it. It says in section 7.2 that the presiding judge may, at their reasonable discretion, issue a summary judgment, which, if we're taking, the liberty that this wording allows, basically means that if I was a judge and I wasn't feeling like it, I could just be like, no, I'm not going to do summary judgment and just keep dragging this on forever. How are you? Is there a rewording plan for this, or like it is in the STA, where there's like a very clear there has to be a summary judgment made, or are we keeping it open like this?
So this is something that you might notice some weird changes in languages in section 8. So 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, 8.1.3, I should say, all these 0.3s. You'll notice that it says in some places sole discretion and some it says reasonable discretion. Now, the reason for this is because the intention here is to not strong arm the judiciary into making absolute decisions where it is not reasonable. Where it's sole discretion, that's where basically that it is, of course, something that there doesn't really need to be too many rules about. However, where we've stated reasonable discretion, this is where the judiciary would need to put some input in. So this is where a degree of interpretation would come in, and this is where rules would be set. Because, of course, I don't want to put them in a position where let's say, for example, that it's at the 59th day, tomorrow they can't do it, but they can the day after. Well, surely it should proceed, and we don't want to put the judiciary in a position where they can't do that. And we don't want to say, oh, the 7 days thing, we don't want to put them in that position. So the main thing here is that we want to allow for the judiciary to be able to ensure that they are able, more or less to be able to put good wording in and good policies in, so that way the people are able to get their access to justice, but also they're able to get their access to a trial. Because the most important thing here is that I don't want everything to go to a summary judgment. Much as it would help a lot of my matters with Nexus Legal, I'm sure you understand that like a degree of sort of flexibility is required so that the judiciary are able to make appropriate decisions as to what timeframes are acceptable.
Absolutely, thank you for that.
No problem at all.
And Yeah. And then for Representative Flippington, if I got that name correct.
Oh, that is correct pronunciation. Perfect.
Wonderful, wonderful. I didn't fully follow because I'll be real honest with you, all the blood out of my brain flooded back into my hand the second it went down.
Oh,
So I was hearing about you speaking about like changing criminal charges and speaking to the criminal code committee. Would you be available after this meeting to discuss the matters? Because I am part of the criminal code committee and I would be happy to relay the information. You have a foot in the door pretty much.
yeah. I believe I already passed it off to Winifred Baker, but I'm happy to
Mhm.
pass it off to another person as well, just to double check it goes
Yeah,
through.
then you have two
But,
foots in
I
the
give
door.
it, yeah, I give it to everybody. I don't mind. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Final one for Representative Barber.
Hello.
Some of my concerns and questions were already brought up by Representative Hill. And it's as such, I will not be repeating them again. It is in regards to the Fifth Amendment and Miranda existing. It's mainly just the question and the concern I have about like potential additional legal hassle that may stem from this. We are already in a situation where we get called to the cells because a client is not understanding how Miranda works and is basically saying, you know, all his charges shouldn't stick because he wasn't Mirandized, even though the cops didn't ask any questions. I can already see this bill causing lots more headaches in regards to the fact that, you know, if it does pass, we're basically going to have non-stop cell reps because someone continuously will be like, well, they didn't tell me why they were pulling me over. That's violation of my rights. Yeah, so I was wondering if there was any like regard taken to that, any consideration of that potential extra paperwork and legal hassle that comes from it.
Yes. With regards to my bill that I'm working on, the Miranda is always there for sure. I do see your point, and I'm happy to consider it. However, sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. Sorry, could you repeat your question?
Pretty much the way I see it right now with the bill is that I see where you're coming from. Representative James has already pointed out the issues I have with it as well. And it is, from my understanding on how it works, causing, or will be causing, could be causing a lot of additional legal pressure and headaches, and the fact that all departments, judiciary, DOJ, and PDO are oftentimes struggling with resources. This would be an additional undue and just massive burden on us to basically represent constantly because of that bill passing and because of clients not understanding their rights.
Yes, I do see that point. However, I feel that clear communication will sort a lot of issues out before it has to come to that point. And by having a you can call it a set format on how a traffic stop should be conducted, both parties will be know what to expect, which will create a better communication between the parties and a safer one, and hopefully it would lead to less people needing assistance in the cells because of it.
I do have a follow-up question to that.
Mm-hmm.
Will the state representative be in close discussion with not public defenders, the police departments, about, you know, seeing how these new, proceedings for traffic can be handled, or is this a matter where it's basically just up to the PD to do the work for that?
I'm always open to work with people. I just today had a meeting with the deputy chief of LSPD and Lieutenant Hans, I believe it was, on this very matter. So I am open to discussion about the bill and how it would affect anyone, and if the bill passes, how it is being followed up and how what the workload looks like in the future.
All right. Yeah, I think just one tiny one, based on your response just then. Would it not be more prudent to discuss the potential workload and extra hassle that falls on all departments prior to the bill passing?
This is exactly what we've been doing the past 2 weeks. As I stated in my recounting of my work, I have met with the troopers and LSPD to specifically talk about how the bill would affect them. So this is already being done, sir.
All right. No more questions from me. Thank you very much.
Awesome, thank you. I do see, Bex, you had your hand up for a little bit. I'm gonna roll over to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
I think there may be confusion on who is backseat.
It's Bex.
Bex Lawson.
Bex Lawson, Shout News.
Sorry, no, I'm okay. Sorry,
Understandable. Bex Lawson, Shout News. My first set of questions are for Representative Barber. What experience do you have in the field of law enforcement? Have you formerly served?
I have not.
Okay. So you have no personal experience with traffic stop sign, correct?
Oh, well, I have had personal experience with them, but on the opposite side of that, yes, I've been pulled over. So
Of course. So
yes.
following up on that, you have never been subject to additional criminal charges due to any spontaneous utterances you have made. This is not a personal crusade for you, then?
No, this is not personal, a crusade as you call it. No, this
So-
is something that I wholeheartedly believe will make the lives of the citizens of San Andreas a lot better.
Absolutely. So building off that point, and I apologize for the rapid fire questions. I just want to come across as clear as I can. You mentioned that this essentially came from public feedback. What landmark case do you have of someone's civil rights being abused at a traffic stop? Like, what tangible impact has this issue caused that you can point towards that would necessitate such a bill?
I don't have a definite case I can point towards, but I can point towards the general feel for how the law enforcement in the state is being perceived by the public. And I don't think anyone in this room can deny that the law enforcement in this room are being viewed less favorably by the public than other departments in the state. I am here to make the lives of citizens of San Andreas better. And I believe wholeheartedly that this bill will be a part of that. It is, as I said, a shift in philosophy when it comes to how to not govern but uphold the law and how to conduct yourselves. But yes, I.
So you believe that public policy should be passed on vibes?
When you say vibes, it is. The vibes you're talking about, I'll put that in quotations. I don't have a count on how many times I have talked with people over the course of my 3.5 years in this state. about how the LSPD, or sorry, not to single out a single department, how the law enforcement is behaving towards the general public. I'm not trying to make enemies here. I'm trying to make it easier for everyone, which is also why I'm presenting this bill to clarify how a traffic stop should be conducted, which
And-
will give a understanding from both parties on how it should be, which will make it safer for both parties.
And these personal testaments from the last 3.5 years towards our police branches, those complaints have all been related to bill on police in response to a string of unnamed allegations passed through the zeitgeist that have led them to have a bad reputation. Do you
That is not
truly
what I'm
believe
saying.
that is a civic, like a good platform for civic policy?
First off, this is not what I'm saying at all. I won't let you put words in my mouth. However, I do see that a change for the better for the public in San Andreas could include this bill. And I do 100% honestly think that if we had a better way of conducting ourselves towards our civilian counterparts, think the lives of everyone would be a lot better.
Just as simple as running a red light. I once clocked a vehicle heading north of LS Freeway. By the time I pulled it over, I caught it out on Main, which is one of the first things I do. Times two suspects got out of the car and started shooting at me. Before anything, they opened fire with the intention of taking my life over a traffic ticket. A lot can happen on a traffic stop, and a lot of different questions need asking. No one traffic stop is the same. To make it easy for you and everyone here that has not had law enforcement experience, I will list some of these issues this bill will cause. If I am legally to inform the driver the real reason for the stop, that is what I have to do before I ask anything else, this is what I will have to tell them. Your vehicle is flagged for weapon trafficking. You have an active DNA warrant. You have a non-violent felony warrant. You have a murder warrant. Your vehicle is flagged for kidnapping. Your vehicle is flagged for shooting at Elio 2 minutes ago. Your vehicle is flagged for money laundering. Your vehicle is flagged for transporting an unsafe amount of cats. Yes, that does happen. Your vehicle is flagged from fleeing from a cow tipping incident.
My family.
So rude. Cows can't get back up. It's crazy. Your vehicle was reported to have left a murder scene at high speeds. Your vehicle was flagged and reported stolen. Your vehicle is flagged for being armed GTA, which, if you don't know, that means it was stolen at gunpoint. This is only a few, and I could keep going, but I'm going to switch my focus onto the vehicle and the people. I'm almost done. I'm 4 paragraphs left. If I run the plate and the owner does not have a weapon license, but has a holster with a firearm, I must tell them they ran a red light before I ask about a weapon that is made to kill that is in their holster. Or, times 4 people in their vehicle, 3 of them are blacked out clothing, masks, but 1 of them is in civilian clothes, and the flag is for kidnapping. You want me to tell the people in said car, hey, your vehicle is flagged for kidnapping someone before I do anything else? We ask certain questions that might seem useless to you, Representative Barber, but we get a feel for the atmosphere that gives us an indication of the tension of the vehicle and all the people inside of the vehicle. This is only a few examples that I have run into in my 2.5 years of service in this state. Representative Barber, I am sure one of your counterpoints will be we can list examples that exclude law enforcement from following this bill. No matter how many examples and people you talk to, there will come a time where this bill stands in the way of law enforcement in either protecting themselves or a civilian in San Andreas. I do not stand for this bill. I do not agree, nor do I support this bill. Representative Barber, you was in a meeting with Deputy Commissioner Maxwell and myself, Captain J. Lamb, and you discussed this with us and mentioned you had already had a draft for this bill. You also mentioned that civilians of this state have come to you with concerns and situations that happened to them. Instead of using that time you had with 2 command members of law enforcement, you failed to bring these concerns forward to us and only mention them to further back your bill. Legislators only have 4 months terms, and you are choosing to use this time to open up a bill that causes more danger and concern for safety than finding and tackling huge issues within the state. If I may suggest a course of action, if people come to you as a voice for the people, please reach out and bring these issues to us. Contact me personally. My phone is always on to hear from the public. I'm sorry for talking too much here, but if I did not raise these concerns of this bill, and I watched a civilian or a law enforcement officer get hurt or worse because of this bill, then I don't think I would be able to sleep at night. One last thing. How can you expect us to communicate clearly with these traffic stops when you cannot even communicate your bill clearly tonight? Thank you very much.
That's my captain.
Lamb.
Thank you,
I
Jay
th-
Lamb. James, if you would like, you can explain some of the reasoning behind it if you like.
I thank Captain Lamb of the State Police for his statement. I am sure that Captain Lamb also will provide the legislator with a copy of his statement so that we can address his concern properly.
There's news.
Please-
I'm sure you
please
can
feel
watch
f-
it back.
Please feel free to
We got you,
email that
Lamb.
statement to a member of Congress so that we can, address your concerns. Thank you.
Okay. Then let's move on to the next person. The individual with the amazing blue and pink hair. You can go ahead.
Oh, hi, I'm Nova Gray with the PDO. Mine, I don't think I can follow up Lamb on what that was, but I have a very simple question for yourself about the Whistleblower Act. You had mentioned the fact that like people can't be fired, basically terminated, if they voice concerns. My issue with that is this is a at-will state. For any reason, you can be fired from any job in the state. How do you combat that? I see that going very poorly in my view. Because I can let's say I piss off Ernst for whistleblowing against him. He can fire me for any reason. It doesn't have to be because I went and told on him.
Okay. Sorry for interrupting you there.
No, you're
I
fine.
didn't-
You're fine. I'm done.
Okay. So yeah, that was a concern I believe Rep Hill was bringing up to me. Far as the concerns on some of the bill there, like I said, I was mainly kind of focused on adding other departments to that. Some of the concerns that were brought up to me, I am now aware of. So I'm going to be starting to work on those concerns. I don't have a complete full answer for you at this time. But I will definitely be working on getting that answer for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
That is all.
perfect. Thank you. All right, the individual in the SecuroServe jacket.
Yes, hello. My name is David Sangarella. I am the co-founder and chief of operations for SecuroServe San Andreas. My question comes on something that was brought to my attention that had been discussed in a previous meeting of the state representatives of San Andreas, I believe on the 24th of November in the year of our Lord 2024. That being said, with the addressing the right of what myself and every citizen in San Andreas is with the right to a citizen's arrest and what is a reasonable amount of force to apply to a citizen's arrest. In my profession, we deal with protection of persons, property, and information. That being said, we have people at properties who have been added to a list of people who have been trespassed to that property or people who are no longer welcome there. And if they refuse to take an order to leave as a duly appointed security guard under license provided by the state of San Andreas through our employment, and what term is a reasonable amount of force acquired, and what is the legal grounds of a citizen's arrest to arrest that person for now being trespassed from that property and refusing to leave?
I can answer that question or take on the question. The whole definition of citizen's arrest is under is a work in progress. It is a hornet's nest that is extremely difficult to tackle, with all the concerns, as you just stated, that we need to take into consideration. we are working on it, and I cannot give you a timeline because of how the nature of this beast, to put it that way. But please feel free to email me or get in touch with me in any way to voice your concerns, and I will happily, bring them with me.
I would be happy to touch base with you after this meeting and voice those concerns. But in the interim, is there anything that perhaps members of the state legislators can provide, or members of law enforcement can provide, which would be taken into consideration of what covers a ground for reasonable arrest, of what amount is reasonable force? Because as security guards, we are not permitted or have access to the equipment that law enforcement has to gain compliance over unruly or uncompromising individuals without, again, using force. That we carry firearms for our own defense and defense of our clients, and that is about the limit of what our extent of force goes to.
Can I?
Yes.
Sorry, can I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. What I would recommend is like you said, you have law enforcement here. I would go speak to them and ask them like what they would think. I'd also speak to the to potentially the DOJ, and I would just work together and have like a plan of action of what you can and what they can do, or what they can and what you can't do. Sorry, and I think that'd be a much greater use of your time. That way, you guys can work together, and maybe even if they have the time, I won't volunteer them, but maybe some extra training for you guys to say what you can and can't do.
Absolutely, I will take that into consideration. Thank you for your time.
Sorry, if I may, real quick, butt in. Zach Michaels with the DOJ. Mr. Sangarella, if I'm happy to chat with you after and kind of answer some questions for you.
Absolutely, of course. I'd be happy to oblige.
Awesome. Thank you. Was there any other questions you would like to ask?
Not at this time. Thank you for your consideration and time.
Perfect. Thank you. I do see Chief of Staff JJ, you've had your hand up for a while. Would you like to ask a question?
Absolutely. My questions are more statements to increase communication, because you guys know I'm huge on that. And if anyone does not already know that I am a very, very aggressive communicator. Let me see, I have three things. Let me get to my first one. Mr. Flippington, I know the conversation that you and our lovely Secretary of State Winfred Baker had was a long time ago, but I just, for communication's sakes, wanted to go over that really quickly when it comes to terms with oh, sorry, can you guys hear me again?
Yeah, I can absolutely hear
Okay,
you.
making sure I'm nice and clear. Our lovely Secretary of State, Winfred Baker, when she discussed with you a little bit further, asked you at the very, very least email her new wording and use case regarding anything you would want to send to our lovely commission that we use. She did not receive any email or any information further regarding that conversation. She is not on the board. But however, we are a communication piece from executive to that. So, sorry, just going through. Okie doke. So yes, if there is anything you wouldn't like to get to them, please do email her further information regarding that.
I believe I did. I have something here on the 22nd. Sorry. The 22nd of November. That I sent to her. So maybe she missed it, but no, it's right there. I can see it quite clearly.
Was there new wording and use code for it?
No, there's no new wording. That's what I submitted to them. So.
Submit to them or to Winfred Baker?
Well, submit to the Criminal Code Committee. I'd like for them to review that, and then they can, if they have any issues with the bill, they're more than happy to come talk to me. Obviously, give me some cliff notes, and I can go and look through them all and try and apply what I can.
So just to quickly clarify, you send the information directly to them?
Well, to Winifred Baker. Sorry.
I believe she did ask for use case and new wording regarding that.
Okay.
Okay. yeah, before she can send anything to them, she needs to have solid information regarding it. So when you do have the time, I know you guys are very busy.
Well, I
please
mean, it is in the
send her them.
template. It is in the template of a bill, so I'm not sure how else you'd want me to do that. But if you're more than happy to, if you have a different version of what you would like to see that in, you're more than happy to tell me.
Absolutely, I will send that to you after that. If that's okay with you.
Sure.
Hey, okay. Second thing I wanted to touch on was the Board of Education. Speaking for the executive, I will have some personal opinions after this, but just speaking for the executive at the moment, which I do have permission to do from our lovely governor, lieutenant governor, and secretary of state as chief of staff. This is going to sound rough at first, so please bear with me. The Board of Education, as wonderful of an idea as it was, and it was created by our former governor, a lovely lady from the McKinsey family, has never been a productive way to spread education. I'm going to use an example that is very near and dear to our heart, and that would be our lovely governor. Jeremy was a part of the Board of Education along with our lovely Seraphine Maxwell, who I see over there. Love her. Both of them can tell you, and of course she can speak for herself, but I will just speak for Jeremy, in that there is no education that he is teaching now that he was teaching then. So what I mean by that is he was teaching religious studies at the time. He is still teaching religious studies, and he is doing so without the Board of Education, which has, for lack of better words saying, never been productive, never been open. It has never been a productive area in this state. Shutting it down and or as our lovely James Hill has said, reallocating it, allowing further education to happen outside of the board is going to be more productive in the long run. I know there's concerns as to who can qualify, who is allowed to teach, who is not allowed to teach. However, those qualifications were not there in the first place. There was no one there to say that our lovely governor at the time was able to teach those things. He simply said that he could, and they said, wonderful, go ahead. And it was like that for everyone else. To shut it down or to even maneuver how it works currently will not be hampering education at all. Any questions on either of those things before I move on to the third?
I'm quite happy to have the green light on my idea, to be honest.
No, go ahead. Let's.
Perfect. This one is purely on personal reasons. This is not chief of staff. This is not coming from executive. This is coming from me, Jax Hendricks. I have never, and will I ever, back down from the fact and the point that he previously was a criminal. With that being said, those experiences give me a rather large insight onto how things function within our law and with outside of our law. As the lovely Captain James J. Lamb said, this law, the State Your Reason bill, will get officers killed, and I can absolutely concur coming from experience on the opposite side. As a previous criminal, I can tell you that traffic stops are one of the most dangerous aspects of either end. There's a lot of tensity to it. There's a lot of stress to it. If an officer walks up to a car and quite bluntly goes, you have a warrant, or you have a warrant for your DNA, or you need to be arrested for so-and-so reason, they will open fire. They do, and they will continue to do so. You will get officers killed. That is not an if, and, or, but. It has happened already. This will enable it to happen faster, continually, and thoroughly. That is all.
Okay. Thank you, JJ. Did any of the reps want to have anything from those questions or anything like that?
To say I wholly concur with the final point.
I have nothing.
Okay. Then I do apologize. I know you stated your name. The individual with the red suit.
Yes, ma'am.
Zach Michaels.
Thank you. Sorry about that. My memory can be
Yeah,
bad
my
sometimes.
dearest friend and former colleague.
Yes, indeed. Hello, yes. Like I mentioned, my name is Zach Michaels. While I do work for the Department of Justice, I am currently not representing the interests of any official, whether that be Doc Hilliard, Mr. Schumann, Mr. Magnus McCready, none of them, to be clear. This is solely my own opinions. Mr. Barber, when the lovely Miss Bex Lawson here was asking her line of questions, you did mention that you at no time have had any experience in law enforcement, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And also, you did mention that you felt it, that you had. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. You did mention that you. Trying to figure out how to phrase this here.
Oh, take your time.
You felt. You said that you had. I guess the way I interpreted it was the solution to both officer safety and public safety with this new legislation. Did I understand that correctly?
Now, that is a grand way of saying it. I'm not saying this is a cure-all, but I do think it is a step towards a better climate between the law enforcement and the civilian population. Yes.
Okay, so I won't continue to harp on the points that Detective Lamb so eloquently stated during his points that he made. I do just want to ask you, how do you figure that simply requiring officers to state their reasoning for a traffic stop will make the public safer? I don't quite understand how you
stating
assume
your
that would.
Stating your reason for a stop can help people relax, because you never know why you're being pulled over for. So, in many cases, people will be antsy and prone to violence. We all know this. We have all been probably victims of it, or have someone that close to us that have been victims of unprovoked violence. A clear communication platform between the law enforcement and the, I guess technically the detainee, because they are detained during a traffic stop, would lessen the stress on both sides to, not escalate situations.
Well, quite frankly, sir, I am well aware of how unprovoked violence can take place. I just, as a matter of fact, was a victim of such just a couple days ago. Of course, that was not on a traffic stop or anything of the sort, but I am well aware of the unprovoked violence in this state, and quite frankly, I believe traffic stops are a great way to obtain probable cause, or investigate further into potential matters of public safety and prevent unprovoked violence. So,
100%, yes.
quite frankly, sir, I'm unsure of what you were hoping to gain with this bill. From what it sounds like, there is not a lot of support from it in this room, let alone from lovely individual from me, nor with the where you gained a lot of the information but it's, I'm going to just another citizen of this state. Many have already said that this board.
Sir, you have a scratchy throat.
Yeah, I would recommend a cough drop.
How's that better now?
Yes, very much so. All right.
Okay.
Could you repeat your last statement or question?
Where did what's the last bit that you guys heard?
The whole part where you, after I said my part, kind of got garbled.
Sure. I'll just try and generally restate. As I'm sure can be gathered by kind of the general attitude and the sentiments that have been shared in the room today, both by those across the table from me and those in the room in general. There is very negative feelings towards this bill, and quite frankly, I'm not sure where a lot of the information you obtained regarding this bill came from. But I believe you can also agree with me that there are some very negative sentiments on this bill, and I'm going to highly encourage you as a member of the public that this bill does not go forward with any sort of pushing to the floor.
I agree that the sentiment in this room is negative. However, as it is often in public discourse and in the public forums, the ones that oppose a change or oppose something are often the loudest. I'm here to be the voice for everyone, and that also means not just the people that are in the room here, but also the people that are on the streets. And I have 3.5 years of experience of living in this state, and no, I cannot name specific names, dates, or times when people have uttered their concerns to me about law enforcement, traffic stops, whatever topic there is. But the sentiment out there is that the law enforcement departments are unfriendly, and you don't have to take my words on it. You can take Shout News Politipol's word on that, and it's clear that it is they have a lot to work on to better their public opinion. Thank you.
Hey Jay, hit me up.
Okay. Was there any other questions that you would have? Oh, I'm sorry.
Was that regarded to me? I'm sorry.
Correct. Yes.
I suppose the only other thing I'll leave you with is, sir, when you're stopped on a traffic stop, aside from what Captain Lamb, forgive me, I just demoted you there, Jay. Aside from what Captain Lamb said, oh, maybe I was going a little too fast, or oh, maybe I ran that red light. People are also well within their right to say, no, I don't know, sir. No, sir, I could you please inform me, or sir, I don't wish to comment on that. If you'll please inform me your reasoning. They're more than welcome to ask, but requiring them simply to do so immediately is quite frankly a dangerous precedent.
I am fully aware of that people are within their rights to not answer anything when it comes to talking to law enforcement, whether it be a traffic stop or a deposition or whatever. However, as I've said previously, we have to look at the extremes, the outliers. The people that can't or are not able to or won't protect themselves is the people we need to protect.
What?
Just to kind of answer that, are you aware of two documents, one entitled the United States Constitution, the other the San Andreas Constitution?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, get him.
Okay, that's the only question I had for you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. There's probably a snide reasoning behind that. If you would elaborate, please.
Well, you said people need to we need to protect those who won't protect themselves. I do believe that those two documents were made solely for that reason. So,
thank you for clarifying that. Yes,
thank you.
The Constitution is great. However, we also need to look at specific cases. In using your argument, we should abolish all laws and solely lean on the Constitution. That should be fine, right?
I think that's a very disingenuous response. Please don't misrepresent his words. He's very
absolutely.
I don't think
Thank
that's
you,
what he was saying
Representative
at all.
Hill. I completely agree with him.
Disingenuous or not, it is a way to turn your argument against you. So I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
I would also
Unfortunately, I
like to state
don't believe. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mr.
I
Flippin.
would also like to state that I also love the Constitution.
Amen.
Congrats.
Representative Flippington, how could you say something so controversial yet so brave?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Is there anything else you love other than the Constitution?
Oh, I love all the amendments.
Not
The
communicating.
second, the third, the fourth, the fifth,
Not
the
communicating.
seventh,
Part 2.
all of them.
Chairwoman Valentino, I believe, is the appropriate title for you. Correct.
The Speaker of the Legislature. You can just call me Jessica Valentino, Representative Valentino. Either or, doesn't matter. Does not matter to me.
We'll go with that. Unfortunately, I don't believe we're getting much further with my questioning. So go ahead and
All
is
right.
that any better?
Yeah, you might need another cough drop, but
it's fine.
You can-
okay, go ahead.
Is that cough drop?
Yeah, you definitely
Take it.
need another cough drop. But yeah, I do agree. We weren't really getting too much further with the questioning there. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. If you guys would like to speak after on that situation, feel free to do so. So we're gonna kind of move on. We're gonna go back over to my right side of the room. The individual with the amazing tan jacket and hat.
One of my friends
Hello.
and former colleagues, Gary Schumann.
Hello. I'm Gary Schumann, Senior Prosecutor with the Department of Justice. However, like everyone else has said, I am not here representing my department, blah, blah, blah. I'm here representing my personal beliefs, etc. Sue me, okay? So I've also made a little speech here. You're going to have to forgive me because I sat here and wrote it as I've been hearing this going on. So, all right, today I stand here firmly against this misguided bill that forces police officers to explain the reason for traffic stops before they can ask a single question. Now, I don't doubt that folks behind this bill believe they've come on some real clever idea making here, but I want to make something very clear that this bill will harm officers and put the public in danger. This bill was dreamed up by people who don't understand how police work actually works or actually happens. Traffic stops aren't some scripted TV show where everyone knows their lines. They're unpredictable, they're dangerous, and they can come and change at a blink of an eye. Tying officers' hands and by forcing them to announce why they stopped someone because they've had a chance to size up the situation or before they've had the chance to size up the situation is just asking for trouble.
Just kidding.
It's like asking a fireman to explain why the fire needs putting out before he grabs the hose. And then there's the business about protecting folks from self-incrimination. The bill's author must have skimmed their civic textbooks because Miranda versus Arizona, the big Supreme Court case that everyone's been talking about, doesn't even apply here. Miranda only kicks in when someone's right is under or when they're under custodial interrogation, meaning they've been arrested or they feel like they are not free to leave. Traffic stops don't count as that. So unless you think a traffic stop is the same thing as a full-on arrest, this bill is fixing a problem that doesn't exist. That's the kind of logic that makes you wonder if the bill's writer even left the comfort of their office. What's worse is that the bill, the way the bill is put together, is tying officers' hands before they can even do their job. Pretextual stops, whether you like them or not, have been used to uncover all kinds of serious crimes, from illegal guns to human trafficking. But this bill wants to toss that tool right out the window, all in the name of optics. That might be good for a headline, but it's bad policy. Now, I get it. You folks probably think that this is some groundbreaking reform, but where I come from, we call it overthinking a problem and underdeveloping a solution. If you really want to improve interactions between police and civilians, you ought to focus on community outreach and better training, not on micromanaging officers to the point where they can't do their jobs. So here's my advice to the folks behind this bill. Step out of your ivory tower and spend a day in officer's shoes. You might realize this isn't reform, but it's a recipe for disaster. The police applications, from what I know, are open. And I also know that the law enforcement command has no problem allowing you to ride along with their officers, and so you can feel what it's really like to be a police officer. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Schumann. Sorry, Jessica.
No,
I'm
you're
sure
you're
that
all good.
Mr. Schumann will provide the legislator with a copy of his statement so we can consider it in detail. We are here to learn. Thank you.
Useless News has got it on video if anyone needs it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. You're a real one.
Good,
Also
Jay.
use-
I do know the wonderful Seraphine from the hospital does have a question. She's kind of being crowded by a bunch of people in the right over there. So if you would like to ask your questions.
Hello. My comment was more in regard to the Board of Education stuff that was brought up. For those who don't know, I was a board member. I was a board member when Brother Jeremy joined, but I was also a command member for SAMS and a business owner. The department itself was built off of wonderful works from people like Bex and things of that nature who had the desire to publish wonderful journals and articles and things of that nature and to protect them and give them a home and things of that nature. The Board of Education never held educators to any standard. They simply had to provide a lesson plan because truly, who's to say you're not the expert in that field if I'm also not the expert in that field? So when it came to the educational aspects and becoming an educator, it was simply to be able to teach at the university was primarily the function and to be able to use all of the facilities. The Board of Medicine is what would license private practices. So there is a licensing for medical private practices as well as psych private practices that can go through a proper standard where experts are the ones licensing the individuals. That's all.
Thank you for
Thank
that.
you very much, Surgeon General. I'll certainly have to have a quick chat with you, as you'll definitely be one of the people that will know actually two parts of it, not only the Board of Education element, but also the element on human remains. So we'll certainly have to find a time to catch up.
Sounds good.
Awesome. I do apologize. I don't know who all had their hands up first. So I'm
Me.
just kind of going down the line. I do see an individual in the back with the.
It's me.
necklace. Yep, correct.
It's a lanyard. Thank you. Hello, my name is Samuel Davidson. I came in the middle of when JJ was speaking, so if I touch on anything that's already been touched, that's just why. I'll ask a little rhetorical question, and again, this is in regards towards the State Your Reason bill. Do officers need reasonable suspicion to pull you over, which is a detainment? The answer is yes, of course. Do all are all officers able to articulate their reasonable suspicion? That's a much more complicated question. I think that goes into training. I think most have an idea of why they're pulling over, and I don't think this bill inhibits pretextual stops like Mr. Hillard alluded to. A pretextual stop is obviously a minor stop with reasonable suspicion that leads to a greater arrest, even if there was, more reasonable suspicion or already probable cause to the stop itself. I do understand what the police go through. I used to be a member of the Parks Department. I was not law enforcement, but I did see some of the other side of things. And we give them the power to do these things, but we also hold them to a higher standard to protect the people who do not have that power. So I will respectfully disagree with everybody that I've heard so far. And I'm just a regular private citizen now. I don't work for the Parks Department. I think this would be a positive thing. I think it could absolutely be modified to provide better opportunities for everybody, both public and police. I think there is a possible middle ground, and I don't think throwing this out is benefiting the people at all. I think it is only thinking about one side of the situation. That's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I do apologize for the quick little conversation that we had. The individual in the back, I do see that you are kind of smoking in the building. Could I ask that you take that possibly outside? I do apologize for that. We're just trying to keep this area a little bit clean for the rest of the individuals that are here. I do apologize for that.
Then just to be able to save time, shall we move on with the next question while that's being resolved?
Mr. Schneider, we can come back to you.
Yeah, hello, it's me, Ernst Schneider again. I got just a quick one again for Representative Barber. Mainly just this one thing. You've stated that you're a big guy on communicating, and that you've been in talks with members of the troopers and LASPD, I believe. Have you contacted any lawyers, anyone proficient in the legal field about this matter?
Currently, this is in the works. I will also mention that I have contacted the BCSO, but they have not gotten back to me. This was done via email on the 26th of November. When it comes to lawyers, this is always, of course, something I will address and get guidance from.
All right, thank you.
I can't see any other hands, but I saw Deputy Chief Kennedy's hand was up, so I'm not sure if that was.
Did you
It
need to
was
speak?
more so
sorry.
just to confirm off of what Schumann said that we do offer government ride-alongs for all of you state reps that want to see what our job looks like. You are able to do a government ride-along with our supervisor team.
I'll certainly take you up on the officer who will endure me for that long.
I guess I could endure you, I guess.
Oh, bless you. All right,
I
we'll
would
schedule a
love to
time.
take you up on that too.
All right.
Thank you very much.
I do apologize again. I didn't see who put up their hand first over there to my left. Chief of Staff JJ, would you like to go?
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to kind of come back to something. I guess it is actually more of a genuine question for Mr. Barber. Hearing all that you have heard just at this table, I know you guys have to look up material and discuss it further, I'm sure later at a different date. However, this is a public way to discuss things, so I think that's important. Has your mind changed? Do you have any way of protecting officers while also allowing this bill? Has there been any thought pulled towards that? It is extremely dangerous, as we have all pointed out in multiple ways, but I understand your want to make it helpful. But how can you have a helpful bill, in your opinion, and also not endanger officers? What is the solution to that?
So, to answer your question,
Mhm.
the bill has a provision for imminent threat.
Mhm.
So that if a officer or a peace officer reasonably believes that withholding the reason for the stop is necessary to protect life or property, they can do so. I also have full faith in the law enforcement that they have procedures to handle aggressive situations that they come across on their daily job.
Mm.
So yes.
To kind of roll back to something that you said. So officers are allowed, with how this bill is currently written, if they determine that something would be a dangerous situation, they can not tell the individual why they're being stopped. Is that correct?
Yes, that is an option they have. Yes.
So if I, as a criminal, am in a vehicle and I know now that this is a law, that officers are required to tell me why they have stopped me, and I have done something illegal and maybe dangerous, and they come up to my car and they don't tell me why I have been stopped, I can reasonably assume that it is a large enough reason for me to shoot them. Because that is what will happen.
Whether
with
or not
that.
you decide to shoot a peace officer,
It's not
is
whether I
up to
would,
you.
it's by the general
Let
population
me
who
answer,
gets pulled
please.
over. I'm not finished, Mr. Barber.
You certainly did seem like you were finished, and let me
I
talk.
was not. I will continue.
My apologies.
Thank you. If a officer pulls someone over and they do not tell them the reason, all of us will know that it is a serious enough reason for them not to say, which will clue in a criminal who has committed a crime or will commit a crime that this is a serious enough reason, and they will act on that. That's not a question or a concern. So it is not keeping officers safe. Is there any further thought towards that?
As I addressed this question when Representative Hill asked the same question to me, I thoroughly believe that the establishment of clear communication is much more safe and will lessen the impact and stress on both peace officers and civilians in the whole. Of course, everyone can infer meaning into something that is stated and or not stated.
Mhm.
Or it doesn't work, but or stated. This is, as I said before, with any law that's written, it doesn't only apply to this bill. It will apply to every law that we are under, in this state.
Mm. And then I suppose my next question is, do you believe that the benefit of this bill will outweigh the certain negatives of this bill?
I do believe that it is a net positive outcome if this bill passes.
Officers' lives for communication that is already required.
If this bill, as I said previously as well, can be a step to bettering the climate between the law enforcement and the civilian population, yes, as a net positive, I think that would be. I think that would be a net positive, yes.
So I'm going to restate my question. I just want to make sure it's crystal clear. You believe that the positive of communication that is already required outweighs a very likely circumstances of officers' lives being taken?
At no point will you see me, have me say that I don't value officers' lives, because I do. But let me finish. Because every peace officer on the streets today are putting their lives on the line. I am fully aware of this, and I am appreciative of the job they do. But in the big picture, you have to look at the big picture. When the climate between law enforcement and the civilian population betters, the total, the climate will get better, and yes, that whole change, it will be it will be a big change, but it has to happen in steps. I can't say that this will bring us to the goal. This is not a golden goose that will lay your egg that fixes everything. No, it won't. But it is a step on the way to a better climate between the law enforcement and the civilian population.
I'm afraid my question was not answered.
Repeat the question, then.
Do you believe that the small benefit that is communication that is already required, officers are already required, wouldn't throughout the process, whatever process or whatever part of the process that may be, before they have to tell them why they're getting pulled over. They will tell them at some point during this stop. That is already required of them. Do you believe that the slight change as to when they inform outweighs what will be an immediate and aggressive threat towards an officer's life?
Yes.
Yes.
In the big picture, I do. Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Just one thing. I'm not sure if you agree, Speaker Valentina, but just under the circumstance, we've had an awful lot of back and forth in relation to the State Your Reason bill. I think it's about time we give Representative Barber a bit of space to breathe.
I am
if there's
more than happy to answer any questions. I have no issues with this.
I'm mostly concerned with time, as we have run for 2 hours. I would just like to ask if any members of the public have any questions that are not in relation to the State Your Reason bill. Please raise your hand, and then afterwards we can attend to that. Yes, I'm terribly sorry. Samuel Davidson, was it?
Yeah, that's right.
I got it.
I did come in a little late. What were the previous bills talked about?
So one was the basically the Clam Act sort of restatement. Basically, that's one of them. Some bills that are currently being discussed, and then afterwards the Whistleblower Act, which is currently being proposed of 2024. Those are the State Your Reason, as well as the Commercial Vehicle Modifier. But unfortunately, Representative D'Artagnan LeBlanc is not present to comment. And then afterwards, Representative Damien Flippington proposed the bill that he is presently working on, which pertains to a limit on the maximum amount of time and fine per instance for Class 1 possession offences. I hope I've summarised that right, Damien.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
outstanding.
All right. Thank you. I'm good.
No problem.
Not a problem. I do see that we had a hand in the my back left with the individual with the purple hair. Did you still have that
yeah.
a question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, well, it's more so contradictory to, unfortunately, the gentleman who has left with the tan jacket, where he had stated that all government workers are allowed to do ride-alongs with the police department, if I'm correct for what he picked up. I'd like to contradict that by stating I am a government worker, but I've been denied to do ride-alongs based on as I am public works.
Fortunately, we're not able to comment on that, as we're not really in the position to be able to do further. Under the circumstances, I check with the police department. I don't think any of us have any particular notions on legislating for that. If you want that legislated, I'd advise talking to one of the representatives after this meeting.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Awesome.
I have a question, but I can't raise my hand due to holding the camera.
Not a problem.
I've got
Sure,
a
what is it?
controversial question for Speaker Valentino.
Sure.
I've noticed the plushie on your shoulder. Is this to say that the speaker is sponsored by Teaspoon of Boba?
No. Honestly, I just really like the plush. I'm not gonna lie. This is not like a sponsor or anything like that. I just really like the plush.
So the
Safe to say, Bill.
Teaspoon of Boba and thereby Elsie Shaw doesn't sort of like sponsor the government, no?
No sponsorship is here. No.
Okay, but
I was about to say, Bill, if one was available, we'd look to negotiating.
Good. Yeah, use the snooze. You got my number.
Of course. Righto. Okay. I don't think there are any more questions. I believe there was only one other matter to discuss pertaining to Executive Nomination 090. Section 3 pertains to the Public Defender's Office, whereby Governor Jeremy Barbant has nominated Kathleen Montoya. My understanding is that myself, Representative Barber, and Speaker Valentino attended with the prospective state public defender. And an interview was indeed conducted where some very grilling questions were asked. So under the circumstances, I would propose that we move to a vote.
Can I ask
I
just
would
some
agree.
quick questions? Sorry. Can you just give us a quick summary? Just so, because I was going to meet with her today. However, this meeting kind of covered it, and I haven't had a chance to meet with her. So if you could just
No, it's quite all right.
just some quick cliff notes. That's all. I don't want to hold everyone here forever.
So the primary points were pertaining to how she would operate the department and maintaining, from my perspective, the questions that I asked were in relation to ethical standards. Mostly that she would hold the attorneys to the relevant ethical standards, and also to ensure open communication throughout, to be able to maintain people to be able to disclose in the event that there is any kind of ethical issues, and also some short and long-term goals, which appeared very much to be able to be centered around ensuring good workflow, as well as ensuring good basically operations in and good team building sort of thing. There was also mention of how Kathleen keeps herself motivated, which were I unfortunately I don't have the exact answers with me, sadly, but you know, they were, in my opinion, the answers from a legal perspective were sound and mostly centered around sort of the ethics of their practice. And to my mind, I had no objections as to the legitimacy of those answers.
Fantastic. All right. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. Then we will go around the table and offer votes. We also will have an electronic vote from Datanya. So I'm going to go ahead and start off. I'm going to be saying A. Rep Hill.
Yes, I.
And let's go over to Damien.
Aye.
And Barbara.
Aye.
All right, and then we will have that electronic vote from Datanya. Like I stated previously, he is out due to illness. So we will have the nomination answer here very shortly. So with that, that will conclude this rep meeting today.
Oh, apologies. We do have an I from D'Artagnan LeBlanc posted at 22:32 GMT.
Perfect.
So yes, that motion has indeed passed unanimously.
Perfect. All right. Well, then that will conclude that. We will have the statement out there very soon.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, can I get a gavel from the Chief Justice back there?
Yes, indeed. This meeting
like a
is
gavel?
adjourned.
I'd like a gavel hit, please.
Would
Very
you be
well.
willing to adjourn this meeting?
I would. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We are adjourned.
Thank you very much, Chief
Thank you
Justice.
very much.